Alright, so we have our 170 liter per hour pump. It's just powered off USB and it consumes about 2 watts when used. This pump is actually going to suck the cold water out of the reservoir and then send it off to the coil. The coil will sit in the fire, heat up the water, and then proceed into the radiator. The radiator has fans on it which will blow off the heat, and the water will return here, which it's not a closed loop. I left it open like this just in case there's excess pressure in the system. It can just blow out right here. For the demonstration, we'll just use water. But once I have this all set up and mounted, water is going to freeze if this is not going to be running, so we'll use some windshield washer fluid. It's good to, I think, minus 35 before it freezes, and we can circulate that through the system. So we'll get this pump hooked up. I'll fill this up with water, and then we'll do some tests. Before I turn on the heater, I'm going to prime the system, so I have to fill this up, let the pump suck up the water, and make sure it primes the system, all the air bubbles come out, and then we'll set up the coil and turn it on and run some tests. Right now my hoses are only so long, but I do have long hoses over there that I have to just get the fittings for. That way I can extend them and run this system a little bit further away from the cabin. So I would say there's about a gallon of water that I use when I use this kind of size of reservoir. Now it does take a little bit to prime. Once the flow starts going, it'll be good. Sometimes you gotta shut it on and off a couple times. Just like that. See all the bubbles starting to come out. That's going to take a little bit of time. Soon enough we'll get water coming out here. I know the flow's not really fast, but I've tried higher diameter tubing with higher diameter copper piping, as well as a 1/4 inch thinner stuff, and this seems to work the best out of everything I have, just because of the flow that I'm getting from the pump. Once I switch to a bigger pump, I'm using more wattage, more power, and really it doesn't make any difference as long as I have a good steady flow. Most of the heat will get dissipated at the radiator. If I had a higher flow pump, the water would go through faster and come back out here, and it wouldn't have a chance to heat up the radiator as fast as a slow flow pump. Instead of making a fire in my house, in front of my house, and smoking my whole garage out, I'm going to use this heater just to run it over the coil, simulate the fire heats, and then we'll do some readings inside. We'll just put it like that. Should be fine. Hopefully it doesn't catch the garage on fire. So let's do some readings. Alright, so outside the cabin, which is in the garage, we're about 14 degrees. We're about 12 inside the cabin right here. So we'll set this up and take some more readings. Yeah, see, so we're sitting around like 14 degrees on the radiator, which is about the same as the outside. we got that going. And now we can monitor the temperature on the radiator. See it's starting to increase. Indoor 12.2. Radiator's starting to get nice and hot. Let it get up to 60. And then we'll turn on the fans. There's 60. It's starting to get nice and warm. We're still at 12.2. I'll fire the fans on. We're using about, so this is the fans as well as the pump outside, so we're at about 15 watts. And yeah. So you can see it's taking off the heat nicely and dispersing it in here. 12.6. It's only a couple minutes. $13.8. So the whole idea behind the heater is to get a small fire pit going, get a bunch of ambers set up for the night, and then kind of kill off the fire. Just let the coils sit in the ambers. They'll be good there for about six to 8 hours once we have a good bottom layer formed, and that should get us through the night. We don't even need an active fire, we just need the heat coming off. Otherwise, if we're just in direct fire all the time, I think it's just going to get too hot here, and we're going to have to wire in the AC on the thermostat to vent some of that hot air out of here. So 13.8, this isn't in real time. This is I think this takes temperature every 60 seconds. 18.3. 18.3, look at that. We're almost at 21 degrees.
15 minutes later.
I am gonna pass out in here. It's so hot. Come on, refresh. You always take a reading in here. This thermometer. See, it's 38 degrees in here. It is smoking hot. It's not. The roof's at 39, almost 40 degrees. The bed's at almost 40 degrees. I think this thermostat only goes up to 30. That's why it's not reading. The battery's staying nice and cool, 29 degrees. So it's 40 degrees in here, and kind of want to open up the bottom just to see what the temperature is down there, in case we need to store food. Oh yeah, 8 degrees. It's 40 up here and 8 down below. That's a 30-degree difference. That's awesome. There's insulation on the bottom of these, separating the cold and hot. It means we can store food down there, and hopefully it's not gonna spoil. Alright, so you can see our reservoir here. Water's starting to boil. It's super hot. reason I put the pump outside is just so it stays cooler. You can see the pump's only at 23 degrees, even though the water's at 56. That's because the hot water is coming out at the top and it's sucking cold water from the bottom. That way the pump stays cooler. If you need hot bath water or cleaning water, this system will provide that as well. Another way I could regulate this is, because this is going to be further away from the cabin, I can put an inline fan on here that with a thermostat that would turn on once this water, say, reaches 50 degrees. And since this is outside, it will just blow all that heat out into the area around and make this water, cool this water down again before it goes back into the cycle. I'm not sure if I'm going to add that in yet. We'll see how this holds up when it gets really cold outside. I'm pretty sure this, if I put snow all around here, this is 100% waterproof, so if I dump snow all around here, it'll keep the pump cold and it'll bring the temperature down of the water that's circulating through. And like I said, the idea is to run this in cooler heat so it doesn't get to the boiling points that we saw here. We'll just keep it on the side of the fire pit, or maybe keep the fire relatively small. That way this heats up to about like 50-60 degrees, and by the time it goes through the system, it blows off here at about 30 degrees. It'll keep this cabin nice and warm, and it should fight the cold outside. The only thing left to do is to test out this pull bar and make sure it's good. The first time I tested it, I had leg bolts down here, and I drove away just with this. The cabin stayed in the same spot. So this time we went with eye bolts directly underneath, added an extra supportive wood, and then we should be good, I'm hoping. I also added this, that way we could just keep this up elevated off the ground so it doesn't rust. I found the remote today, so we can finally change the lights. If you look inside, I should be able to hit both lights, switch it to red and blue and green, and yeah, it works pretty good. We can even have a disco. I'm really hoping that this isn't too heavy and that side by side, which is only about 1,300 pounds, can pull this beast around. So I really wanted to show you how this cabin slides around on the snow. The problem is we haven't had any snow here in a couple weeks, even though we're in Canada. It's middle of January, but it's like Mother Nature knew that today was the last day of our build and that we needed some snow. So did we get some snow today? Look at that. gonna try to take it up the steep hill and see what happens. I couldn't even get up this hill with my car. She's working. I'm shooting video too. Everything looks good, nothing's wet down below. A little bit of snow down here, but otherwise everything went good. That's it for the cabin build. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit the like button down below, and we'll see you on the next project.